Top two teams in the Eastern Conference go head-to-head tonight on Monday in the NHL, and that, of course, are the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers. Plenty of great games today to discuss on PuckTime and in the NHL. We have the Maple Leafs and Kraken and Calgary Flames. I'll bring in Carmine. Carmine, what's going on with you, man? How was your weekend? And what else are we bringing back for today?
Yeah, Andrew, this is a monster weekend in NHL, or a week in NHL, guys. There are so many good games to discuss this week. You don't want to miss an episode of Puck Time because we are going to, let's hope we have a great week for you guys with our free plays at the end of the show and our breakdowns in these games. And of course, we're bringing back the ladder challenge. So you definitely have to stay till the end of the show to catch that one. Andrew convinced me to do it again. So we're going to try and climb that ladder. Nothing like a 55-year-old trying to climb a ladder for 7 straight days. But with that said, Andrew, let's get right to it, man. We're talking what? Florida and Boston? Where are we going first?
Yeah, we gotta bring in Andy Lang because I didn't say we have Andy on the show. So Andy, I gotta say to you, how was your weekend, brother? How are you feeling right now in the NHL, UFC? How was your weekend?
Oh man, weekend was great. NHL is rolling. We're at 65% for the year, 5-1 run. I was hoping for my sixth straight winner last night. It didn't happen. We went back to Evander Kane to not have a point, and boy, the Penguins just absolutely fell apart, complete melting. So he ended up getting a point to break the unbeaten streak, but 8-2 in my last 10 NHL plays. So really, really happy. Cashed 5% in the UFC. So clients are happy. I'm happy and looking forward to another good week. Carm's right. Very, very big bettable week in NHL. Like I only had 6 plays over the last 7 days, but I could see having quite a few more. We got a best bet up tonight. So yeah, great week in the NHL.
Look forward to hearing your thoughts today, Andy. Let's dive in, Carm, to the first game of the day, the game that I mentioned off the start, the New York Rangers, Florida Panthers, two of the best in the NHL, also the top two in the Eastern Conference. What are your thoughts on this one, Carm?
Andrew, this is we have two games. These first couple games, I absolutely love these games in the sense of wanting to watch these games first of all. So we're going split screen tonight because Florida and the Rangers. The Rangers, one of the best teams at home this season, and normally a tough nut to crack. But there's been some problems with this team defensively the last 2-3 games. They had those back-to-backs against Columbus, and even in that second game against Columbus, where they win that game 4-1. In that one, they still didn't look good defensively in that game. And then they play against the Leafs, lose that one in Toronto on Saturday. And quite honestly, the Leafs probably could have had a couple more goals in that game. And then you get Florida. Florida, the best team, I think, in the league right now. It's not an overreaction. Watch the Florida games if you're watching the Florida games. And I think I've been watching them because I have money on Florida a lot of the time. This team is playing unbelievable right now, and especially on the road. They're 13-2, their last 15 on the road. And the two losses were 3-1 a couple months back and a 1-0 last 20 seconds when Sebastian Aho scored in Carolina. 13-2 on the road, 21-10 on the season on the road. And here's is even more impressive on that 21-10 record on the road is that they're allowing home teams to score an average of 2.06 goals per game. They've allowed 64 goals on the road in 31 games. That is, and especially in this Eastern Conference where there are a lot of very good teams, that is a stat you just cannot ignore right now. The market, it opened up pretty much 110 both ways. It's gone to Florida minus 125, and that's the right price. It might look like it's a little too high, but you're taking a team that is playing unbelievable hockey right now and getting wins, and they're stamping themselves as the Stanley Cup favorites right now. They're just playing phenomenal hockey and number one in the Atlantic now, and very well could end up winning the Eastern Conference unless they suffer a little bit of regression at some point. But I just don't see it. This team is scoring goals. This team is playing defense, and you put those two combos together, and you have normally a team that you can bet over a 10-game span and they're going to win 7 for you and you're going to make money. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Florida Panthers for me tonight. Andy?
Yeah, tons of props, and there's one that jumps off the page as trying to maybe follow a streak on the over. I actually think it's a great time to come back on the under. This is Alexis Lafreniere over his shots on goal. So the books have been putting it out at 2.5, and this guy has gone over in 7 straight games, and he's gone over in 13 of 14 games. So you would say, well, let's just keep riding the streak, right? He goes over every time. 9 of those games, he's landed right on 3. So he is barely getting over this total. And now we're looking at a tough matchup. The Panthers, they allow the second least amount of shots on goal. They only allowed 21 against Detroit on Saturday. I think goals are going to be hard to come by in this one. I think shots are going to be hard to come by. And this streak feels unsustainable. Just barely going over this 2.5 shots on goal by 1, but he keeps cashing it 13 out of 14 times. We always say you want to ride the streak, but got to be ready for when the streak is getting ready to come to an end. This is plus money, and the books are telling us something here. It's only minus 120 to go over. So the books are telling you they don't expect this to go over for very long, or for very many more games, because how do you have a streak that's 13 out of 14 games and the books are giving it to you at minus 120? They're telling us something here with this one. So I'm going to go a little contrarian on this one and give me the under on Lafreniere on his shots on goals, my favorite prop in this game.
That is certainly contrarian, Andy, but we'll let it slide because Carmine and I have cashed a lot of tickets together on Lafreniere. So jumping in on the under just makes us look that much better. I hope you cash that ticket, but I'm on the Rangers tonight. We've got a great road team against a great home team here. 6 straight home wins for the New York Rangers, but this Florida team, unbelievable. 12-1 last 13 games on the road, 9-1 last 10 games. It's definitely a battle of the best teams in the conference, as I've mentioned a few times already. But what I like about this Rangers team right now is that they're finally, and I mean finally, getting production from guys that aren't their top players. And anybody that knows me, has followed me talking about hockey for years, knows that it's important for me to see some of these bottom 6 guys get key minutes, get key times, and actually begin to make plays. Now, I'm not saying this can be a huge factor in the handicap, but when it comes down to it, one team is off a loss that they will not be happy about Saturday night against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's New York. Meanwhile, Florida, it seemed like they almost had a cakewalk. They just skated around, made it look easy, dominated the Detroit Red Wings 4-0. So there will be a bitter taste in the mouths of the New York Rangers. And as far as this matchup is concerned, I'm looking at betting the home team, getting the last change, getting that matchup that they like. And although Florida has good goaltending and they have great defense, the goaltending has been phenomenal lately for this New York Rangers team. So I'm going to rock with the home team here. I love the price I'm getting on them. And I just think they play a much better brand of hockey at home versus on the road, especially defensive hockey. So I'm going to take the New York Rangers on the money line. But as mentioned, this is certainly the game of the night. We'll keep things moving here. But before we do that, though, I want to mention.
I'm going to jump in, Andrew. I'm going to jump in, Andrew. You got to let me jump in every once in a while, Andrew. Come on, man.
I was going to mention the promo.
Take a deep breath. Sip some water. We'll mention the promo in a second. But I just don't want to lose my thought. You're taking the Rangers. I'm taking Florida. I haven't used this line all year, but my thoughts and prayers go out to you and your bet on the New York Rangers tonight, because I believe the Florida Panthers are going to lay that little puppy to bed there. So anyways, mention your promo. Go ahead.
Wait, that's what you wanted to say?
that was the big jump in? I'm jumping in. Andrew, tell him what you got up.
Am I supposed to talk about it when we're on the third game and say, by the way, in the first game, we're on the first game. Let's talk about the first game. Come on, Andy. Your job here is just to say, Andrew, none of your players will record a point tonight.
My job
is the Rangers get shut out. So that's it. That's it. But we love you for it because you do it, and you do it very successfully. So anyways, listen, Andy, the bald guy has to get a word in edgewise every once in a while, okay?
If we're on the opposite side, Carm and myself, it's usually better when it's the third game, not the first game of the day. But that's just the way it worked out today. We are head-to-head. The gloves are off, just like the gloves were off with Ryan Reeves and Rempe on Saturday night. But, guys, 7-day all-access pass today only, $69. If you guys are looking to buy plays today at WagerTalk.com from Andy, Carmine, myself, any other great handicappers, you might as well take a look at the 7-day all-access deal. It is a great special, a great number. And right now, there's so many things going on. Got mixed martial arts, boxing, soccer. There's so much going on. Spring training in the MLB. So a lot to look forward to, a lot to be getting down on as far as your action is concerned. And we always encourage you to check out these, short-term, but not just one day or not just one pick. These 7-day passes are great. $69, unlimited uses for you guys across the board at WagerTalk.com. All right, Andy, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, man. It's going to be a great game. The Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs playing some great hockey right now here. The Boston Bruins, well, it seems like they're going in a different direction, but when these two teams get together, it's always a good one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you said it. Boston, man, not looking very good. That game was over before it started on Saturday against the Islanders. Really bad look, but it's more than that. Losing 4 out of 5. I'm wanting to do something with an over here. I know you've been big on team totals this year. I was looking at Toronto, something with their team total over. I did come up with, if you're on the domestic books here in the U.S., or I believe you guys probably have something like this up in Canada, like taking like the Maple Leafs over 2.5 team total, and then just parlaying it with like the Golden Knights over 1.5 on their team total. The Bruins have given up over 2.5 goals in 9 straight games. Doesn't matter who's in goal. Maple Leafs have scored over 2.5 in 11 out of 12 games. And then the Golden Knights, I mean, they get the Blue Jackets. They've given up 2 or more goals in 10 straight games. They've only held 3 teams under 1.5 goals the entire season. That's kind of insane. Calgary on October 20th, New Jersey November 24th, and St. Louis January 3rd. The only time the Columbus Blue Jackets have held somebody under 1.5 goals. So something to do with the over, because Boston just does not look like they have it together on defense or with their goaltending. So any way to do that with overs on team totals with Toronto is what I looked at. Not too much jumped off the page with individual player props in this one. So looking at overs for Toronto in this game.
All right, looking towards some overs here. The Maple Leafs remain at home here. They're playing some good hockey and scoring goals. And Carm, at first, Jim Treliving didn't look that, or not Jim Treliving, Brad Treliving didn't look that smart with his moves he made in the offseason. But now starting to look a little bright here with Domi playing well, Bertuzzi starting to shine, Ryan Reeves getting into a few scraps, firing the crowd up. What do you think about this game?
I like the fact that you used the Jim Trevelyan one first. He's the owner of Boston Pizza. Do they have Boston Pizza in the States? I'm not even sure if they have Boston Pizza, or is that just a Canadian thing? It is like a franchise of like sports bars or whatever restaurants, and it's called Boston Pizza. I wouldn't eat that pizza if you paid me, man. I'd rather eat the cardboard that the Amazon boxes my wife orders comes in. It's horrible. But with that said, sorry, Brad. Um, Andrew, I'm looking forward to this game. You look at um Boston's 2-0 in this series, but that was at a time in which they couldn't do anything wrong. The Leafs couldn't do anything right. It was beginning of the year where the Bruins got off to a great start, and now the roles have flipped. I thought the Bruins could have used that game against Vegas to jumpstart the second half of their season, because they were 3-8 going into that game after the All-Star break, and now they're like what are they 3-9, 4-9? Unbelievable that this team just can't string wins together right now. They're 3-9 or 3-8 since the All-Star break, and look at their wins, Andrew. They blew a 3-0 lead to the Vegas Golden Knights, and it was 4-4. They needed a late goal to win that one. Their prior wins come back against the Bruins, against Edmonton, win in OT, and then they score in the final few seconds of the game to send it to overtime against Dallas. A little bit of puck luck on their sides, even in the wins. They're just not playing well, and they're allowing goals, kind of like what Andy had talked about. This is going to be a great week of hockey just because the teams know not only play tonight, but then they play again Thursday in Boston, and the Bruins have the Oilers the night before. So they have the Oilers sandwiched in between. And these two teams are on collision course just because Florida right now looks like they're going to win the Atlantic unless they show some sort of regression. These two teams are going to meet in the playoffs, the first round of the playoffs, and we've seen them meet before. And there's bad blood with these two teams. Maybe Ryan Reeves, as you talked to about Andrew, about getting into a fight. He's got into a couple of fights. He took on that guy who looks like a tree on the weekend. That was an unbelievable fight. This is going to be a good game. Whether we see some blood spilled tonight or whether we see it on Thursday, one of these teams is going to try and send a message to the other that, hey, we'll see you in the first round of the playoffs. The Leafs are playing too well right now for me not to want to take the Leafs. They're scoring goals. The Bruins are allowing goals. And regardless of whether it's a rivalry or not, Bruins are 2-0 in this series. And normally I'll take I'll take the team that is down 2-0 in the season series to win that third game. And I think it's even better here just because the Leafs are playing extremely well right now. So give me the Leafs minus 130 in this game to keep that Bruins post All-Star regression going.
Regression is definitely a good word to use, man. They have not looked good outside of the All-Star break, that's for sure. Looking at this Boston Bruins team, and what Andy mentioned there about the team totals there. I mean, getting to 4 goals in 9 of their last 10 games for the Maple Leafs. They are scoring consistently, and that secondary scoring has been massive for them. I think I'll be looking at props tonight on Tyler Bertuzzi, whether it be him to get a point or whether it be him to go over his shot number, because the books are simply not catching up to it. But guys, having said all of this, Andy was the contrarian earlier with the Alexis Lafreniere prop. I'm going to be contrarian here with this total. I'm actually going to go with the under. I'm going to go under 6 here. These teams, they play twice in a matter of less than 7 days. This is, to me, the classic. First game's going to be tight and defensive. Second game, I believe, will be a little bit more high scoring. For the Boston Bruins right now, their focus has to be getting back to defensive hockey. They're realizing they cannot trade goals with certain teams. They are not built to be a fast-paced, up and down the ice type of hockey team, whereas the Maple Leafs are. And let's be honest, some might say this is funny to bring this up for a handicap, but hey, Monday night at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, the team has a little bit of a history of playing a little bit worse than they do on Saturday nights. This is a flat spot for the Maple Leafs. They've been playing unbelievable. Hard to say the word flat spot when the team's playing some great, great hockey right now. But I think that we're going to see defensive hockey. Right now, Toronto's goaltending is actually looking good. When their games are going over a lot of the time, it's actually them doing the scoring. So I'm looking for a real defensive battle. As long as both teams stay out of the box, I'm hoping we can see a classic playoff type game. And if we do see that, we're going to see kind of lower scoring and a lot of defense, especially in the center of the ice, making things very difficult for their opponents. The only thing that worries me, guys, as far as taking this under, when I was thinking about it this morning, was just penalties. These teams, when they get together, it's almost like they have to take about 5 penalties each. And if that happens, the power plays are very strong for both clubs. But I'm going to look towards the under 6 in this one, look for a defensive battle, and hope the forwards can really contribute to that with their back checking as well.
Listen, I agree with you on the whole teams taking penalties, and normally it's weird just because the Edmonton game for Boston is sandwiched in between these two games between Boston and Toronto. But normally I will look at the over in the second game because I always think this almost the same thought as you is the first game sets it up for the second game, especially if something physical happens in that first game and one team doesn't react because it's a close game. They don't want to take stupid penalties. They try and send a message in that second game. And we see it in the NHL. We see it in the NHL playoffs all the time is that in a 7-game series, the longer the series goes, the bad blood begins to boil because you're playing the same guys, same teams. They get under your skin. And these two teams hate each other. Say what you want to say. This isn't just fan bases. we're talking about the teams on the ice. They don't like each other. And especially when you have a guy like Brad Marchand on that team, that guy, you love to have him on your team. You hate to play against him. He just gets under your skin. He knows where the refs are. He gets that little jab with the stick in. He goes into after they blow the whistle, he gets in there and he throws a little elbow. He just knows how to irritate people, and it works to their benefit because then the opposing teams end up taking stupid penalties, trying to chase this guy around the ice, trying to get even. If we don't see a lot of penalties tonight and a lot of scoring tonight, I would venture to say that the game in Boston is going to have penalties and it's going to have scoring. It's because it's going to have power plays, and these are two very good power play units right now, Andrew.
I love when teams play each other twice in a short period of time. It's great. It's awesome because no matter what happens in the first game, you're looking for some revenge for one team. Like you mentioned, a big hit in the first game could cause some tension in the second game. So all that stuff goes into the handicap as well. Guys, thanks so much for watching Puck Time here on WagerTalk TV. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell, show some love. We're trying to give out some winners here on these great games today on a Monday. And honestly, it's great to see some great games being here on a Monday. Usually Monday and Friday card are just absolute garbage in the NHL. We're actually getting some good games with some good prices. And so far, you've gotten some team totals, you've gotten some props, you've had some side plays from us, and there's still one game to go, some best bets, buy and sell, plenty more to discuss. Carm, let's go to you for Flames and Kraken. What are your thoughts on this matchup in the West Coast?
My first thoughts are to a quick play here, but my first thoughts are to the guy in our live chat who's always here, and we love him, Raven Ron. Release the Kraken tonight. So listen, Andrew, this is one where I don't have a play on this yet, and a lot of times I will tell you guys that on the show that a lot of it's dependent on who the starting goalie is. We know it's going to be Markstrom, or it should be Markstrom in goal for the Calgary Flames, and they're playing well. They literally ripped the soul, Andrew, out of Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night. If you watch that game, a game that looked like it was going to overtime, and the Flames just ripped out their soul in that game, and then the Penguins just did not show up against the Edmonton Oilers yesterday. They just got bombarded by them, and the Penguins are going to be sellers. But with that said, I'm seeing like Joey Decord as projected. There's no starting goalies named. I'd rather see Grubauer. Grubauer has looked good of late. You look at his last three. I think he started the last three games, which is why they probably have Decord up there as projected. But don't you go with the goalie who's got the hot hand and playing well? Despite going, I think he's like 4-2. Grubauer, his last 6 games, it's his save percentage. He has a save percentage above 900 in those games, playing well. The court, he doesn't. He had some of them, but you look at his last couple of games, and they just are not very good games. And this is a Seattle team that needs to win games. They cannot drop points, especially to a team like Calgary, who they are battling to leapfrog over or try and get past to get into one of those wild card spots. This is a huge 2 points for one of these teams today. It's a 4-point game. It's essentially a 4-point game. I'm going to take the plus money. I'm going to take the plus money and hope that we see Grubauer. If you guys are seeing anything out there right now, I haven't seen anything about the morning skate on the X Twitter as of yet about the starting goalie, but I really hope it's Grubauer in goal. It makes a difference for me as far as this game goes tonight. I'd rather have Grubauer. If it's Decord, I'm going to stay off the play. But I do like Seattle here, plus 110 to spring the upset. Maybe I've been trying to fade Calgary too often, Andrew, but I'm going to try it one last time here. Seattle Kraken plus 110 for Raven Ron in our live chat. Andy, who's not scoring tonight?
Actually, this guy has been scoring, and I'll keep riding him. It's a really good streak. Nazem Kadri will have a point. Just kind of rinse and repeat with this guy. He's got a point 3 out of 4 games, 21 out of 28 games. Flames have scored 23 goals in their last 5 games. So this is just one that I'll take tonight and I'll just keep playing them. We've discovered a few of these streaks going on across the NHL. This is one we talked about a few weeks ago, and it's been winning. So I'll just keep with it. Sometimes you don't need to overthink these things. So this is one of those where even if he doesn't hit tonight, you just come back and you keep playing him because he's shown over the long term. He just doesn't have too many of these games where he goes without a point. So I get a team that's scoring a lot. I get a guy that's putting up a lot of points. He had an absolutely sick goal. Look really, really good. So I'll take Kadri to have a point.
Andy, and I would say that, you know, if some other players were playing the way he's playing right now, then they would be getting like every single highlight from every single NHL hockey account out there. Like, I mean, if Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews scored the goal that Kadri scored over the weekend, we would be seeing our entire X feeds just filled with that highlight. But you know, Nazem Kadri, Calgary Flames, Western Canadian team that's not doing very well. We'll push that aside. I mean, he's playing tremendous right now. I find it hilarious when teams trade away pieces. They trade away Tanev, trade away Lindholm, and this team is playing the best hockey they've played all season long. It's just how it goes sometimes. You rally around your teams. Having said that, though, I do believe that the defensive ability of this Seattle Kraken team will make the difference in this hockey game. I like the price here as well. And this Flames team, as I mentioned, they've overcome, kind of losing some key players, whether it be through trades, whether it be through injuries. But I still look at some of the games that they've played in, and, you know, they have been able to have some good defense, but they've taken advantage of good situations, taken advantage of some power play situation, taken away from certain teams that weren't playing their best hockey at the time. This Seattle team, one thing I can always count on from them is good defensive hockey. All four lines, they've got forwards that back check. They got guys that are responsible in their own ends. But as far as the scoring, it is a little bit of an issue. I certainly believe that the under is correlated with Seattle. Calgary can play an under game as well, as we've seen, but the over would probably be more correlated with Calgary. But I just think the price is off a little bit in this one. Calgary's playing some good hockey right now, but Edmonton took down Seattle 2-1 in that last game. So I'm going to go with the bounce back spot here at a good price here for the Seattle Kraken. We'll get in on another underdog for Monday's slate here, Carm.
Yeah, we can't just auto click favorites, guys. You guys don't want us to do that. There was a minus 625 favorite I saw on the weekend. I think it was it Dallas? Dallas against San Jose. San Jose started a guy that I think they found, the guy who's loading the baggage for the team on the team plane started the game. Now, all kidding aside, they brought him back. They brought him up from like the Barracudas, and I think he had played or had featured in a couple of games this season, and his goals against average was 7.50, which is probably like my blood alcohol level when I'm in Vegas as well too. But with that said, the Sharks gave them all they could handle, and they gave Minnesota all they could handle too as well. The Sharks do this every once in a while. They find scoring. They did it on an East Coast trip earlier this season where they found scoring, and you're like, where did this Sharks team come from? Andrew, I want to mention something for you guys in the chat and watching this a little later on. Both Brian Leonard and the Prez have 5% plays up on Monday. You can find them over on our site. Both Brian and Prez are doing fantastic with their 5% plays over the last few years. Solid numbers for both of them. We wish them both luck. And it's not on, I can tell you this, it's not on the same game. I don't know what the plays are, but I know that they're not on the same game. So you don't have to worry about getting conflicting plays if you are picking them up. With that said, Andrew, before we get the best bets, you're making me do this again, the ladder challenge. I love it when it's winning, but when I fall off that ladder, I'm not a big fan of it. So tell us, what is play number one in the ladder challenge?
I was confused there. I thought you were going to me for the buy and sell, but look, we're going to go with the Kraken. We're going to release the Kraken
Next.
As our ladder play to start the week off here. I just think that we've forecasted this Calgary Flames team to show some regression, to kind of take a step back, and they haven't really done that as much. But this, to me, is a spot that they're going to run into a very strong defensive team here, a team that has played pretty well on the road throughout the entire season. And what better way to start off the challenge here for a new week, Carm, than a plus 110 price here on an underdog and against the team that we think is still about to fall off here. I mean, I've heard some people say the Calgary Flames are going to make the playoffs, this miracle run. I don't think so. Give me the Kraken tonight to get the job done.
Yeah, listen, Andrew, the Calgary Flames, they must have watched our video puck time on the plane going to one of their games where they're like, look at this bald-headed doofus over here. He says, fade us over the next 12 games. And then they win like four in a row in that 4 or 5 in a row. Man, I thought they were going to lose against Pittsburgh on the weekend. And the Penguins played extremely well in that game. But the Flames came back, and like I said, they ripped out their soul, man. I'm telling you, you could just see it on the players when Calgary scored that thing, and then they just didn't show up against Edmonton the next night. So I want to make mention of something. The last 6 weeks, last 6 weeks before this weekend. So last 5 weeks before this weekend, the 6-60 went a combined 22-8. The 6-60. I would love to keep running a record of 22-6 and going 4-2 and 5-1. This past weekend, absolutely the reverse. Regression kicked in. Only the Leafs of all teams, only the Leafs were a winner in the 6-60. A 1-5, absolutely horrid. Guys, it has to be better next week. The only thing that could be worse is an 0-6. But with that said, apologies on a bad 6-60 last week. But with that said, the good thing is you didn't have to buy it, but you still played it. So I feel bad about that part. Speaking of buy, Andrew, buy and sell. Who we buying? Who we selling?
All right, I'm going to buy the Dallas Stars here for this week, and I'm going to buy the Dallas Stars for on a large scale, close to a lot of these games in the remainder of the season. They have one of the most favorable and lightest schedules out of the entire NHL, and it starts actually this week where they get to take on the Sharks, the Ducks. They've got the Kings on Saturday. Then, of course, you mix in the Panthers next week. We've got the Devils. But looking at this matchup right now, whether you're taking the team totals, whether you're taking the puck lines, whether you're taking the team total under on the San Jose Sharks for tomorrow and that Ducks team, to me, this is a very light schedule coming up and a Stars team that is not really known for playing down with their competition. They're very level-headed. They approach every game the same, it seems. They don't have many flat spots. And to me, they have a great schedule coming up. We'll try and bet on them and buy the Dallas Stars, but not just this week. Throughout the season, guys, they have the top 3 lightest schedule in the entire National Hockey League. I'll tell you a team that does not have a light schedule, Carm, for the remainder of the season. One of the many free spaces on the bingo card, the Buffalo Sabres. And they start things off this week with the Maple Leafs on Wednesday. They've got the Predators on Thursday. And then they go head-to-head against the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday. Things do not get easy for the Buffalo Sabres this week as they continue to allow goals, play pretty soft defensively. They had a big victory over the Vegas Golden Knights, but I am not buying it. I think this is a team that is ready to go downhill. So I'm going to look to fade the Buffalo Sabres and bet on the Dallas Stars. Let's bring Andy Lang back in the mix and go to Andy for what he has going tonight and what his best bet is for the show on Monday.
Well, the best bet, yeah, of course, we're going to a guy to not have a point. That's been the bread and butter. So we're running really well. I will take Braden Shen to not have a point for the St. Louis Blues. He had a stretch where he was really hot. He had a point in 11 out of 14 games. He has cooled off dramatically since then. Only 1 point in his last 7 games. The Blues, they really can't score much on the road. 6 goals in the last 4 road games. Flyers, they're inconsistent. In their last 3 home games, they've allowed 2 goals to Ottawa, 2 to Tampa Bay, 2 to the Rangers. I think it could be a fairly low-scoring game, and Braden Shen has regressed back after a really nice stretch of getting points in all of his games, and now he's back to not getting points. So it's a low-scoring team. So the odds are when your team is not scoring very well, very few opportunities to have a point. So Braden Shen will not have a point is the best bet. That 7-day pass for today is fantastic. We're on a 16-7 all sports run. We've hit 2 5% plays in a row in UFC, 5-1 short-term run in NHL, but 65% for the season. So really excited about that. It gets all plays, all percentages. We're running hot in lacrosse, had a really nice 4-3 week in NBA. So profitable in all these sports. Don't forget, we got another Formula One race. We cashed in Formula One over the weekend. So things are looking really, really good for myself and for clients. So take advantage of that 7-day all access pass. Can't beat $69 for 7 days.
Andy, thank you so much for being here with us. As always, Braden Shen to not get a point for tonight. Some great stuff, though. Team totals and player props with Andy here on Puck Time. And that is a great, great special, guys. Make sure you take advantage of it. And unlimited uses for that special for a 7-day all access pass. Over to you, Carm. What's going on for you, not just today, but for this week at WagerTalk, and what's your best bet for the show?
Hi, guys. That is a great deal, that $69 one. And Andrew, I'm going to tell you guys, this is a very busy and big week for me. Not only NHL throughout the week. I spent the whole weekend just going over this whole week's card and looking at spots. And then, of course, Champions League Tuesday and Wednesday Champions League, Europa League on Thursday. Just a bunch of really good games. I'm going to have a 5% play up in the NHL tomorrow. I really love the card. So, and those are numbered like 35. So 69 is going to get you 7 days for less than $10 a day. Andrew, my play is going to go back to the first game we discussed. Listen, watching this Florida team, I get it. Sometimes teams will take days off, and we just don't know when that's going to be. But this is such a big game for Florida as well, too, against the New York Rangers. And they're playing so well on the road. I mentioned 13-2, their last 15 on the road, 21-10 on the season. They're playing playoff hockey during the season. They are just a tough team to break down. And if you watch the game against Detroit, Detroit's a very good team, especially at home, and they shut them right down. Florida was much the best in that game. It's going to be a tough going into New York against the Rangers, who are a very good home team, but Florida can do it. Florida Panthers -125. That's your show best bet on Monday. And we thank you guys for obviously tuning in. Hit that like button, please. And of course, subscribe and drop in the comment section below, if you're watching this video later, who your best bet is tonight, who you like on tonight's card, guys.
7 days of all plays for $69 today only, guys. And I'm looking forward to some NBA action actually tonight, as well as NHL. So start things off on a good note with multiple sports going tonight. But also that MLB special, keep an eye out for that. Keep taking advantage of that. You guys have joined me on it. First half of the season, MLB start of the season to All-Star break is a great deal for me. You can find that at my Capper homepage, WagerTalk.com. Join me. People are going to be selling plays first day. You know, we're probably going to see some big plays out first day, opening day, second, third. Join me for the entire first half of the season. Get to know me as a handicapper, especially as a baseball handicapper. We'll cash some tickets, especially in the team totals market. You guys heard me talk about the Seattle Kraken countless times throughout this show. I love this spot for the Kraken against the Calgary Flames that might be feeling a little bit fat and sassy, as Marco likes to say. I like this dog tonight here with the Kraken. We'll lock them in the West Coast. We'll take the Kraken on the money line, +110. Thanks so much for watching, guys. On behalf of Carmine and Andy Lang, I am Andrew McGinnis. We'll see you next time right here on Puck Time.